Win at home on Afternoon Express, where 3 design contestants are turning 3 empty properties at Valdivia Estate in the Cape Winelands into dream homes using finishes provided by Caesarstone and Plascon. Vote for your favourite and you could win.
Now, tomorrow we give you the first look at our design contestants' kitchens. And while they're hard at work around the clock to get done in time, let's take a look at a collaboration between Manentle and One Design with a very unique use of Caesarstone.
My vision for the kitchen is to create a space that relates to the rest of the rooms by using colors that work together and materials that complement the rest of the room. The whole vision is to create a kitchen that adds value to the apartments in a sense that it has enough storage, but at the same time it also explores innovative concepts.
Working with Manentle from the outset was very easy and comfortable to do. His designs on paper as well as in his head, and his use of different materials, as you'll see in the finished product, has come to the fore, and that is due to Manentle's design and us just executing it.
Well, the most important thing for me in the kitchen is comfort. So I've considered the ergonomic triangle, how the working areas work with one another. Having my island relates more to the dining area and having the cooking area at the back, but at the same time not very much hidden away because the kitchen is pretty much becoming a space where people show off their cooking talent. And with the overall feel of the kitchen, I'm bringing in the earthy colors that I have in the other rooms. So I want you to feel very comfortable in the kitchen.
What we tried to do was bring different colors into the kitchen along with the different wood grains. He wanted a very soft color in the wood itself, no yellowing, very plain, very standard. It was something that you could almost feel like a bit of the outside coming in. Because of where we are on this Valdivia estate, abundance of trees and greenery, I think the two blend hand in hand and accompany each other very well.
What's also going to have my kitchen stand out is how I've used Caesarstone as a versatile material, applying it horizontally and vertically.
And I think going on from that, what makes this the perfect kitchen for me is that Manentle's been able to take different elements and bring them into the kitchen, whether it's the use of different materials. It's a sort of a modern take on a more timber-looking kitchen with the use of soft close hinges, touch release for the doors, integrated appliances, as well as the steel along with the timber. Makes it not only a functioning kitchen and easy to use, but one that's also good looking at the same time.
Another way I've incorporated Caesarstone into my space is creating this sunken trough which acts as storage for your herbs, which are very trendy in kitchens, bring the garden into the kitchen space. Overall, the frosted carina works well with the kitchen, as the grain on the finish works well with the timber finishes, while the more white and clean accommodates the rest of the colors I'm using in the dining and lounge area.
So what we try and do is take not only the kitchen design itself, but blend it in with the rest of the house. So when we are looking at designs, it's not just kitchen specific. We take into consideration the rest of the house, the rest of the design of the house, so that it is an extension of the house.
Kitchens are coming along nicely, and it's certainly one of my favorite rooms in the house, and it can really make or break your home from a sellability perspective. So how do we know what to look for? Well, Danilo joins us on the couch with the man who's made it in this business.
Now, if there's one room that can really make the biggest difference when it comes to selling a home, it is definitely the kitchen. We gravitate towards beautiful kitchens because they are stylish yet user-friendly. Fail at this and selling your home can become quite tricky. This afternoon in The Loft, we have Simon Bray, CEO of Private Property, to explain to us how we can win the battle of the kitchen. Welcome back to our Loft.
Thanks, Dan. Good to be here.
So let's talk about my favorite room in the whole house. The kitchen plays a really big part when it comes to selling a home. Talk us through why.
It's the most expensive room in the house. I think, first of all, that's what sets it apart from the other rooms. You've got the appliances in there, you've got the fittings, you've got the countertops, you've got the cupboards and the cabinetry. So by the time you're done, that's a really expensive part of any home. And so when somebody comes in and they're looking to buy a place and they're considering whether this is a good investment or not, they're going to look at how that's fitted out. They're going to look at whether that kitchen sets that particular house apart.
What are some of the trends that you've seen in terms of modern kitchens? What is happening?
Interestingly, it's one of the spaces that's transitioned the fastest within the home environment. 20 years ago, the kitchen was very much a kind of female domain, and now you're seeing a lot more masculine finishes, a lot, high-tech equipment. It's almost like the modern man's workshop inside the home. And so you're seeing, interesting coffee machines and grillers and appointments that you would expect to see in a kind of high-tech environment. And that's driving the trend for the kitchen, just in terms of the aesthetics and the finishes.
We always like to talk business with these things, and trying to sell a home is you want it to be friendly, welcoming, inviting, but you also want it to be functional and practical at the same time. So is it possible to achieve that?
It's a very functional room. A kitchen is about,
cooking,
making coffee, cleaning up. So it has to be a functional space. And I think you have to consider all of those use cases when you design a kitchen. But it's also about, the tone that it sets, the atmosphere that it creates. So design is critically important. It's also a great way to kind of look under the bonnet of the house and see how well looked after and how well cared for is the house.
Yeah.
If you look at a kitchen that's grimy and rough around the edges and the appliances are old, then you're likely to find that across the house. You've probably got geysers and ceiling spaces and all of the stuff that you can't see that's just as grimy and just as troublesome.
You'll find out if you had a lazy owner, because it's all of the, to scrub in between those things on the stove is like everyone's worst nightmare.
Exactly.
So it's a good telltale sign.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that the kitchen in our particular Winner Home Challenge is going to be the piece de resistance, the most important room. This is going to put the finishing touches on for the designer. If this room is wrong, then the whole house is unlikely to hang together well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do.
Sure, the pressure is on. What are you looking for from them, by the way? Because, I mean, every time you've given some of the most harsh advice that we've seen so far, because you want to see these guys innovate and create things, and they're trying to stay on the safe side. So what are you hoping to see with these kitchens? I know piece de resistance, but what exactly are you looking for?
Well, this is probably not the challenge to save money on. Kitchens, how you fit out the kitchen, the appliances you choose, the brands you choose, those all communicate something about the designer and about the apartment. We're talking about Val de Vie, we're talking about the Lapa Luxury, so I'm expecting to see well-appointed kitchens and perhaps something a little innovative, something a little interesting. I don't know if it's a built-in coffee machine or an interesting under-counter appliance or some clever space to slide away things like washing machines and dishwashers. Something interesting, because it certainly isn't a big kitchen in the Val de Vie apartments, so we're going to need to see some innovative design.
Sure, it's funny because I've had a sneak peek at some of their plans and their ideas, and I've spoken to them quite a lot off camera about what exactly they're hoping to achieve, and it seems like they've got some very different ideas, so I can't wait for everyone to see what they've done. Good. So you're going to have to sit tight and just really hold those guns. I must ask you, just from your advice, when I'm maybe trying to sell my house right now and I've got something that I'm trying to prepare, how do I position my kitchen in a way that's going to sell well? Do I create a standalone like counter, what do you call it, an island? What sells well? Give me tips.
Often something that's overlooked is the state of the oven or the hob, the extractor fan, the very visible elements of the kitchen. Sometimes spending 10 grand on some new equipment there is going to increase your property price significantly. You walk in and all of a sudden you get a sense that this is a well looked after, well maintained and well appointed space.
So invest in some good equipment and that'll hopefully raise the value of the property a lot. Also, when I'm going to go buy a new house, for those of you who are watching, make sure that you make a really nice kitchen, because it could make the impression, and the most important impression. Simon, thanks so much for joining us. I always take a lot from these conversations.
Good to be here.
The kitchen requires a lot of love and attention, as you know, particularly from me. It's a space where you want to express yourself and create magical dishes, or just a really good cup of coffee. So visit privateproperty.co.za for much more inspiration on what it takes to sell a beautiful kitchen.
It's not called Winner Home for nothing. You, the viewer, can win one of the 3 completed apartments at Val de Vie Estate, valued at over 3 million rand, by voting for your favorite design contestant's kitchen on privateproperty.co.za. Winner Home is proudly brought to you by Private Property in association with Nedbank.